Richard, thank you for coming on the show today.
Always a pleasure.
So there's been literal upheaval in Venezuela. Can you tell me a bit about what you know what is occurring in Venezuela right now with the earthquake?
Well, this looks like it was a pretty significant earthquake, 7.1, 7.2, actually two earthquakes in succession, centered some degree west of Caracas, but quite a bit of damage in Caracas, in the national capital, all coming at a time in which the political situation was pretty uncertain to begin with. Now they're going to have to deal with a significant relief and reconstruction concern. We're already hearing about other countries, including the United States, looking to provide assistance. Even Israel, I think, has said that it's going to send people to provide relief. Other Latin American countries, aside from just the humanitarian dimension, how a government handles a significant disaster can be politically very important. That's something, if you remember Hurricane Katrina in the United States, that can either help solidify or can do a lot of damage to a government. And I would say that given the decades of poor administration, to put it mildly, in Venezuela, they're going to have a lot of challenges.
Now, several thousand people have already died in Venezuela, I believe, as a result of the two earthquakes. How do you use the aid that is provided most efficaciously, and how does the Trump administration try to prevent the aid from being looted?
These are very good questions. I myself, having served at embassies, have gone through various disaster assistance processes. On the U.S. side, these things all, of course, used to be handled by the Agency for International Development, AID. AID has been abolished. Some of its features have been incorporated into the State Department, and allegedly they're sending a DART team, that's Disaster Assistance or a Rapid Reaction Team, to Venezuela. The very first step is always to survey what's needed. There's always the question of immediate relief, and that could be just basic sort of shelters and food and things like that for people in immediate distress. Then there's a reconstruction element that has to be done. How do you do it? In many countries, you work through non-governmental organizations. In Nicaragua, where I was served some time ago, we had a number of NGOs related to various religious organizations that had money and resources parceled out to them. For certain kinds of immediate relief, the U.S. military has certain capabilities, giant hospital ships. It's not clear to me whether, to what degree that kind of thing would be needed. But the question you raise of will this stuff be funneled through the Venezuelan government, which remains a highly politicized entity, is a legitimate question. And one can recall in many cases where disaster relief gets funneled politically, doesn't get to the people most in need, some of it's siphoned off. The Venezuelan government, in its current manifestation, lacks democratic legitimacy to begin with. If this became that kind of crisis, things could really heat up.
The Trump administration has a lot riding on this as well, does it not?
Well, it basically has created the current situation in Venezuela when it used our special forces to remove Nicolas Maduro, and then decided that it would work closely with the successor regime from within the Chavista hierarchy, and led by Delcy Rodriguez, and they're have put a lot of chips on her ability to manage a process. The Trump administration says this is a process that will begin with kind of economic reconstruction and eventually lead to a democratic transition. I'd say there's been a lot more progress on the side of economic activity and trying to entice major oil companies back into Venezuela to do big investments. In terms of progress on the democratic side, I think the most you could say is some things are inching forward.
What is your read on Rodriguez? Do you think she actually could turn out to be a capable manager, or is it going to fall apart?
Well, that is the big question. She certainly has certain political gifts, ability to do manipulation within the Chavista hierarchy. She's moved some people out. She's managed to isolate others. She's What's probably most important is she seems to have built a relationship with the U.S. government under President Trump. But there are 30 million Venezuelans, and they have yet to see a vast improvement in their life, and the clock is ticking.
So your analysis is that there might be more upheaval, political upheaval, civil strife in Venezuela's future if this earthquake is not handled well.
I don't think you can rule out that scenario at all. There are obviously happier scenarios than that, and in which the problems are resolved in a relatively straightforward way. But the basic administrative capabilities of the government of Venezuela have been hollowed out over decades of corruption, of totally political management, and to have the kind of basic relief of the provision of medical needs, food. Venezuela has huge slums. Caracas, if you go there and look at the hillsides, hundreds of thousands of people living in shanty towns. How are they affected by all this? For the immediate moment, I think even power and gas are out in the city. Have to maintain law and order.
Might water be an issue as well?
We'll have to see how much is damaged. Some things can always be brought back online relatively quickly if there is will and capability and foreign assistance. Other things take longer, and it's not just Caracas. There are other significant towns and cities west of the capital that probably they have been affected even more because the earthquake was closer there.
I suppose the question would be whether it affected the oil facilities as well.
We'll find that out. I think at a minimum, large refineries are in the famous Paraguaná refinery, one of the largest in the world, is relatively close to the epicenter of the earthquake. So at a minimum, it's going to be shut down for some time, but eventually they'll have to find a way to get it back up.
So at a minimum, this is also bad news for Donald Trump. It has to come as a jolt to his plans for Venezuela.
It definitely creates new uncertainty. Perhaps a way can be found to take advantage of it, to say, look, we now need to move forward on democratic governance, improving your capabilities, get us to the next stage. How much time, how much money the U.S. government is prepared to invest into Venezuela is not entirely clear to me. The Trump administration seems very inclined to kind of declare victory. This is a win. We can put it in the win column. There'll be an effort, of course, to characterize whatever's happening in Iran as another win, and then on to Cuba.